Hey, Chyna, how you doing? Great to hear from you.
Hi. Yeah, now I can hear. Okay. Over the years, I've kind of wanted to share my life with the fans and my friends, and talk about what's kind of the whole story, what happened in the wrestling, what happened after the wrestling, why I went to Japan, what's been going on since I went to Japan, coming back, and fresh start, yeah. And I think I've been trying to do it in my own way for many years, but just finally coming together now, right timing, and So
without a doubt,
we're on this. I'm super excited to be back today. It's the first day. We've already been hitting the town, New York City, and we're going to be traveling across the country and doing lots of interviews and seeing lots of friends and fans, and it's going to be awesome. We're going to get the whole story.
That's phenomenal, and obviously, if it's a great place to start, New York is the number one hot spot to get your feelings back on the United States. But you definitely overcame a lot of adversity. You're such a polarizing figure in not only, I wouldn't even say the wrestling world, but the entertainment industry. And definitely, your traveling to Japan and spending your time there has been a great part of your life. And with this documentary and this Kickstarter campaign, which you can go to Kickstarter and search Chyna, and you can find all the information about the Kickstarter campaign, what is it you like the most about Japan, and what really caught you in staying there for as long as you did?
Well, initially I went to Japan with Inoki-san, Antonio Inoki, and ended up wrestling Masaru Chono, and it was kind of opposite end of the world over there, and I don't think a lot of people really understood what was happening there. It was like China in the sports entertainment world, but then to go over in Japan and, have this female wrestle Masaru Chono was just incredible, and all the training with Inoki-san and the dojo with all these mixed martial artists and incredible guys. So I just really loved Japan. It was so life-changing that when I felt it was time to remove myself from kind of all the chaos that was going on here and, go away to opposite side of the world, different culture, different language, regroup, find myself a little more. And, I just felt the time was right now. Time is right. I'm excited. Get back in the game. Get some answers. Make some phone calls.
Now, with absolutely. Now, with this documentary coming out, what would you say it's about? Obviously, you and your life, but are you going to talk about how you were a trailblazer, in the industry for women wrestling?
Well, of course. The fan base is the wrestling base, and those were my happiest days, the greatest days of my life. And, so I think that's the base of the story, but, of course there's an arc that's happened 15 years later to where I am now, and you could just see it's the journey, and it's about being happy, finding happiness and making your mark and all that stuff.
Absolutely. So what have the fans meant to you over the years?
Like I said, it's all about the fans, and basically doing the movie with the fans. And so, I want them to be a part of it. I want them to be a part of the movie. And they're part of the story. The fans are part of my life story up to this point, So I think that's the best way to do it, together.
Now, obviously, a huge part of your career, you spent your time in the WWF, and obviously you made a huge, huge mark there. Can you talk about what it was like to be, the first woman ever in the King of the Ring, and the first woman to win the Royal Rumble, and the first woman to win the Intercontinental Championship? you just talk about what that all meant to you?
Well, I think it means, you know, at the time, I guess I thought it was, well, obviously I knew it was a very special moment, but I didn't have the wrestling background that a lot of wrestling fans had when I started in the WWF and WWE. You know, I didn't even really know that what was going to happen in that world. So, you know, when all that was happening, I don't think I quite realized it until after the fact, really. You know, for me, it was like going out every night and, like, just wrestling with the men. I knew that I had to be my best at all times. There was no room for error, and that's just how it was. So that's how I kind of, you know, that was my everyday for me.
Now, what
and it's interesting going out, you know, and talking to the fans and stuff, because it's now that I can stop and listen to people, you know, and to the fans, they can tell me more about my matches and the history and stuff that I knew that it was actually happening, you know. It's really cool.
You know, and actually, and what would you say the biggest difference is between the Japanese fans / crowds and the American crowd, and I guess I wouldn't even say the response that you get between the two, but maybe since they're a little bit more respectful than the American fan, you know, the feelings that you feed off of from them.
Well, when I went to Japan, wrestling was big. Of course, I was part of New Japan Professional Wrestling, and I had trained in the Inoki Dojo in Los Angeles for about 2 years before I wrestled in Japan. And wrestling was hot then in Japan as well. It's not so much right now. I mean, the WWE could go over. I saw a sign on the train for them going over, I think this month or something. I'm not sure, but New Japan Professional Wrestling was a little bit darker, a little bit more serious. There's a lot more mixed martial arts thrown in there, and you know, it was a whole different experience. Kind of like, I see it as more like an underground type of, you know, serious thing, where it's like a lot of foreigners didn't want to go over there because, you know, they were going to get beat up. But I just didn't really, you know, I was properly trained for it, and I felt that it was going to be a, you know, life-changing experience, and it was. Whereas, you know, sports entertainment in the U.S., you know, and that's that. But yeah, it was really a whole different ball game. But that's because I was with New Japan Professional Wrestling, of course, too. I don't know how it would be if I was with, you know, WWE at the time. I never got a chance to go to Japan. They weren't really doing much in Japan at that time.
What do you think this documentary is going to prove, and what the biggest misconception of Chyna is? Because just getting to talk to you, you know, you're very intelligent, like I said earlier, very polarizing figure in not only sports but also professional wrestling, sports entertainment. But what's the biggest misconception of Chyna?
Well, I mean, I don't know about the misconceptions, but I know about, you know, the truth, and I want to tell the story, you know. There's a story there. There's a lot of obstacles and a lot of great things that have been accomplished, and I know it, and, you know, I want that to be remembered because those are the important things. And also just about, you know, being happy and coming out on the other side, you know, a happy, accomplished person. And I think that that's a story for athletes, for fans, for women, you know, and I think it's a good story. It's a story that needs to be told. Because I think that fans should hear it from, you know, I deserve to tell my stories too, you know?
Without a doubt.
So, yeah, and so that's what we're doing here.
Good luck with everything you're going to be doing, because we'll definitely be supporting you and the project.
Thank you. I'm super excited, you guys, about this, and it's awesome.